Okay, let's some really strong, frankly perplexing statements from Donald Trump about India. Specifically, its economy, its global role.
Yeah, there's a lot flying around.
Exactly. We've gathered quite a few sources, and they paint a really complex picture of what's happening geopolitically.
Contradictory even
Uh,
at times.
Absolutely. So our mission here is to sort of unpack the key insights, figure out the motivations behind these statements, and really understand what it all means for you and, the wider world stage.
Right. But where do we start? The claims about India's economy seem like a flashpoint.
Definitely. Our sources highlight some incredibly strong claims from Trump. What's the headline grabber? The one that really sets the scene.
Well, it has to be him flat out declaring India's economy dead. Dead. And putting it right alongside Russia's.
Wow, dead.
Yeah. And that immediately throws up a red flag, right? Because it just clashes so hard with what all the major global bodies are saying.
Like the UN, IMF.
Exactly. The UN, the IMF, the World Bank, they've all consistently pointed to India as, a major bright spot in a generally slowing global economy.
Expected to drive growth, even.
Precisely. A key driver of global growth. So to just dismiss it as dead, that's a massive departure from the economic consensus out there.
And it's not just a one-off comment, is it? We're seeing a pattern here, sort of an aggressive stance towards India from Trump.
Oh, definitely.
Lots of tweets mentioning India even when he's talking about, I don't know, trade deals with completely different countries. And then there's that very specific threat, a 25% tariff on India by August 1st, plus penalties if a deal isn't done, quote, overnight.
Yeah, he even said, and this is a direct quote, "I don't care what India does with Russia, they can take their dead economies down together."
Okay, so
Oh, wait.
if the economy is supposedly dead, why the intense pressure for market access? Why are big companies like Tesla setting up shop there? It doesn't quite add up.
That's the contradiction, isn't it? It suggests, well, maybe it's a tactic, trying to devalue India's position before negotiating.
Or maybe just a disconnect between the rhetoric and the actual economic aims.
Could be. I mean, the real point here is that these public statements, they act almost like a form of economic pressure, maybe even warfare, regardless of the actual economic numbers.
He's also been pretty blunt about why, hasn't he? His specific complaints.
Yes, saying things like, "We have done very little business with India. Their tariffs are too high, among the highest in the world." That's his stated reason.
Okay, so this external pressure campaign, it's causing some interesting, maybe unexpected reactions globally, right?
Yeah.
On the geopolitical chessboard.
Absolutely surprising, some of them. You wouldn't necessarily predict these players stepping up.
Like who?
Well, Russia's former PM, Dmitry Medvedev, for one, he actually came out quite strongly, challenging U.S. tariffs and defending India. Said it looked like intimidation.
And not just Russia.
No, Iran, too. They put out a tweet supporting India, said the U.S. continues to weaponize the economy, using sanctions to, quote, "dictate its will on independent nations like Iran and India and impede their growth." Strong words.
Very strong. Weaponize the economy.
And Iran went further. They called the U.S. actions coercive discriminatory, said they violate international law, national sovereignty, even called it a modern form of economic imperialism.
Wow. Economic imperialism.
Yeah. And they framed resisting this as standing up for a more powerful, emerging, non-Western-led multilateral world order, a strong global South.
That ties into other things we've heard, like Lindsey Graham's past threat about destroying India's economy over Russian oil purchases.
Exactly. It highlights this ongoing pattern of using economic leverage. But what's really significant about Russia and Iran jumping in isn't just the words, it's how it reinforces this idea of a counterbalance forming, a non-Western bloc pushing back against what they see as, well, coercive tactics.
Okay, so we've seen the global ripples. Let's bring it back home to the U.S. How is this playing out within the U.S. foreign policy world, the folks who've spent years building that India relationship?
Yeah, there's a real concern there, deep concern, actually. Top U.S. strategists are worried. They're saying Trump's moves could, potentially fracture the whole India-U.S. alignment.
Fracture it.
Yes, and worse, maybe inadvertently push India and China closer together. Kind of like the mistakes some feel Biden made with Russia and China.
That would be a huge strategic shift.
Huge. There's a real fear that these 25% tariffs could seriously backfire, actually strengthening India-China ties. You hear frustration from analysts saying, look, this could undo 25 years of careful bipartisan work building bridges with India.
So a lot of anxiety in D.C. Now, how is India itself taking all this? The accusations, the pressure? It can't be a single unified reaction.
No, definitely not. It's quite varied. You see different figures responding in different ways.
For example.
Well, Shashi Tharoor, for instance, he basically said India must stand firm. He pointed out that India's economy relies much more on domestic consumption than exports, unlike China, for example.
So less vulnerable to tariffs.
That was his point. He said tariffs would hurt. Sure, they'd be a setback, but they wouldn't destroy the economy because of that large internal market. He stressed that India needs to push back, protect its own interests.
Okay, standing firm. But then you have quite the opposite reaction.
Right. Then you have Rahul Gandhi. He came out and said he 100% agreed with Trump's assessment, said India's economy is dead, everything is ruined. He was actually happy. Trump spoke a fact.
Wow, 100% agreement. That's stark.
It really is. And what those two reactions show you is, well, not just political divides, but maybe very different ideas about India's global position and its relationship with the West.
Using international criticism for domestic politics, maybe.
Exactly. Gandhi aligning with Trump's negativity shows how external rhetoric can become a tool in internal political fights. It gets weaponized.
Okay, just when you think it can't get more complicated.
Yeah.
There's another twist. Trump's announcement about a very big trade deal with Pakistan. What's that about? Seems like another piece thrown onto the board.
It really does, and it's pretty mysterious. Very little public info about this deal. Some are calling it secret, maybe even hollow.
Hollow, meaning not much substance.
Potentially, and neither the U.S. nor Pakistan has given any real specifics. The only detail that sort of leaked out was about an American company exploring for oil in Pakistan.
Oil exploration.
Yeah.
And Trump apparently mentioned Pakistan may be selling oil to India someday.
He did, which, raises eyebrows. What's the point of saying that specifically?
It feels pointed, like it's less about the actual deal, maybe.
Many analysts think so. They connected back to Trump's ego, his claim about stopping a nuclear war between India and Pakistan, a claim he's made, over 30 times?
A claim India hasn't exactly backed up.
Right, so India has kind of destroyed his narrative on that, and there's this suggestion that Pakistan has been, let's say, accommodating his ego, helping with Bitcoin ventures, talking Nobel Peace Prizes.
Ah, okay. So the Pakistan deal might be less about Pakistan and more about poking India.
That's how some are interpreting it. A strategic move aimed primarily at putting pressure on India. It makes you wonder, is this just extreme negotiation? Like the art of the deal applied to geopolitics.
Yeah.
Really aggressive opening gambit.
High-stakes poker, indeed. So with all these moves, these signals, what does this mean for the bigger picture? U.S. India ties, global alliances.
Well, people bring up the Japan precedent. Remember how Trump made some really harsh comments about Japan?
Right before a surprise trade deal was announced.
Exactly. So the question is, could we see something similar with India before that August 1st deadline, a sudden deal emerging from all this noise?
It's possible, I suppose.
What's also really striking is Trump's silence on the positive things still happening. He hasn't mentioned Apple boosting manufacturing in India or that huge NASA-ISRO satellite launch, NISAR.
The world's most expensive satellite, right?
Yeah.
Crucial for climate science.
Crucial for humanity, yeah. And he hasn't acknowledged it. It's a strange omission given the scale.
It contrasts sharply with his first term, doesn't it?
Completely. His first term was seen as pretty pro-India, signing major defense agreements like Baker, Kamkasa, Lamoa, things that really integrated the two militaries.
Foundational stuff.
Absolutely. But his current approach, many are calling it a complete disaster for the relationship.
So the long-term relationship might survive, but this period is difficult.
Difficult, yes. The thinking is the long-term strategic alignment will likely hold, but this patch will be rough. And it might make India much more cautious about, fully trusting the U.S. down the line.